Where should we go? Nick, do you want to go in the middle?
We do.
By all means, please take a seat.
Okay, well, come in here. Let's
Nice and
actually, let's go
close,
here.
or-
Let's go here. Perfect.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sephora, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. So we're going to be talking about omni-channel success. So I have with me two experts in retail, but they also have extensive experience in the beauty industry. So we have Ria Chauhan, who is General Manager for Watson's GCC, and Nick Vink here, who is Head of Corporate Innovation for CHALHOUB Group. So why are we talking about omni-channel today? Well, in 2020, we had a little thing happen, I do not know if you remember, that kind of pushed everyone online. So when it comes to retail, some of the retailers already had plans in place, others did not, and kind of had to adapt into it. So now that the business has restarted, we're out in person, we're all here seeing each other, which is great, that is amazing. Obviously, retailers have to adapt again. So this is what we're going to be talking about this afternoon. So I will also take a seat. So for both of your companies, you already had a plan in place, a strategy when it comes to developing e-commerce, both for Watsons that started in the GCC and both equally at Faces at the time, where you kind of revamped the entire e-commerce strategy. Now, obviously, COVID hit. So were there any bumps in the road that you had to deal with this new pandemic? Ria, if you want to start with that.
So we're actually I would call us a COVID baby, because we developed Watsons right when COVID started. Interestingly enough, we had planned to launch our e-commerce alongside our brick and mortar, and we have a very much an omni O+O strategy. But what I noticed in the industry and everywhere around me, and it was something that was an unforeseen challenge, was supply chain. So actually everybody quickly embraced e-commerce. Everyone set up their websites. Everyone set up how they can be agile and reach the customer. WhatsApp, everything. So, but what was a challenge for the whole industry, and I'm talking very broadly here, is supply chain, the last mile delivery, getting the product to the customer, because actually the situation was uncertain, people didn't know if they could go out, and there were restrictions amongst itself. So actually for me that was the biggest learning about to launch a business, seeing how the current e-commerce business was challenged by a fulfillment model, I would say. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely the same. So for us, because being part of CHALHOUB Group, we have a bit of an
advantage, I
an
guess.
advantage, obviously. So we know some people when it comes to the supply chain and fulfilling. But for us, the challenge or what really changed was we had a roadmap in place in terms of expansion, then in geography. At the time, we were only in Saudi Arabia and in UAE online. And we had plans to open Kuwait, Egypt, and Qatar slowly throughout 2020 on a very solid base with a lot of customer research, great launch plans, activations, in-store events. And then COVID hit, like beginning of March, we had to throw all of that in the bin. And then management came and said, you know, Kuwait's probably going to go into a lockdown. All stores will be closed. You need to open e-commerce end of this week. We're like, sorry, that's 5 days or 4 days. Yeah, make it happen. It took us double the time. So in 2 weeks, we opened Kuwait. And then in a matter of a month afterwards, we also opened Egypt and Qatar. I still don't know how we did that in such a short time frame. But it's nice to see if the going gets tough, that the tough get going, and it was amazing to see.
And I think because it's the Middle East, and I think because there's not so much a legacy system, people were able to leapfrog straight over and adapt, be agile, and basically be so customer-centric and say, you know what, we need to do this, we need to implement it very quickly, and let's turn it around. Not 12-month planning process, literally, like you said, 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So it's phenomenal.
So quick thinking, adaptation, you've managed to pull through. Now, obviously, you had to then have this done quickly, but how did it change your marketing strategy? How did you talk to consumers? Because obviously, it was a totally different message you had to go out.
It's not for us, it wasn't really a different message, to be honest. So we have a great chief strategy officer at CHALHOUB Group, and she always says, you have strategy and you have tactics. And strategy, if it's done well, never changes. That's the same for the message. The message on its own never changes. What you want to convey as a brand, as a group, as a concept, never changes in the end. How you communicate and the channels you use, obviously that changed because the stores were closed. We had to adapt there, but the message of what we want to be as faces, what we want to represent, what we stand for, the audience that we speak to remains the same, and that's still from the region, for the region, being as local as possible, bringing the best brands in the world. For example, we were the first ones to launch Chanel online. That's what we are about, and whether that's online or offline, it doesn't really matter. That's the message that we stand for.
Yeah,
Ria, for you, it's also very interesting because obviously you were launching the retail. So how did that work for you?
well, for Watsons globally, the digital strategy is really important. Actually, for the last couple of years, it's called O+O. So it's not online to offline or offline to online, it's O+O. The consumer has changed, and actually what happened is this whole lockdown actually amplified what we were doing. It made us realize how important it is, and actually it didn't change the strategy, it reinforced the strategy, because suddenly we were expecting to do huge launch events and create these big events in our stores for Watsons, but actually we started seeing that was happening through brands, through TikTok. People were learning about skincare and beauty through TikTok. And I could never have imagined that a few years ago, that you would curate your skincare regime through TikTok. The other thing is being, or trying to carve expertise in skincare. It was very strong for us because it meant everyone's at home, everyone's spending time on what they do. They're actually doing the 5-step, 6-step, and actually on TikTok, 11-step regime. So for us, it was brilliant because actually it meant that, you know what, this awareness piece is actually paving the way for us to come into the market. No, it was fantastic for us. It really reinforced our digital strategy. It actually also made us learn a lot of lessons. When I spoke about supply chain, people want beauty and they want it fast. They're not going to wait 3 days. They're not going to wait 5 days. How do you deliver it really quickly? So it has to be worst case scenario next day. If you can get better, it should be same day. We have click and collect within 2 hours. So you've got to make the experience as seamless and as fast as you can.
Maybe if I can pick on it. It was interesting when you talked about TikTok because I remembered something. And to answer the question that you asked, what changed in terms of communication? When we went into a lockdown, it was super hard for us to work with our traditional agencies that we used to work with, where we spent thousands and thousands of dollars for, actually much more than thousands of dollars. So we had to rethink that model as well. And we thought, well, we have everyone sitting at home. We can just send our assortment to them, right, to our own employees. They can indeed make TikToks themselves, and we're going to use that as our content marketing. Let's experiment with that because there's nothing else we can do anyway, right? We worked with influencers as well to go live on Instagram because people, they had a lot of time sitting at home watching content. But we also switched from the polished, super big bang commercials to a much rawer setup. And in startup landscape, that's normal. You can do that. There's almost no red tape. But I can assure you, when you're part of a big group like CHALHOUB Group, there's a lot of tape that you need to be in that box. And as COVID hit, there was no other option. So they just said, let's try. And if it's not working, we'll cut it. And no one ever said, wow, this is not qualitative enough. And some brands that we work with were even surprised, and they asked, "Are you sure this is not an actress or someone you hired?" No, this is our visual merchandiser. This is our content executive that made this on this video that we're advertising, and that really changed. So in our day-to-day approach right now that the world is still open again, at least in the UAE, the genuine employee. Content marketing is still something that we use and makes about 10 to 25% of the marketing mix.
Yeah, so totally about authenticity, both in the client's education when it comes to social media, but also from your own image towards the consumer. So that is obviously very interesting to tap into. Now, we've talked about supply chain, you've talked about your amazing chief of strategy. So what other elements were crucial into performing in this changing retail landscape, both internal and external? Ria?
Yeah, so there's been, as we spoke about, community, creating this online community, creating an in-store environment, and actually, I'll come back and I say this a lot because it is our Watson strategy, this O+O. So what do? The customer is informed. They're learning about skincare. They're learning about cosmetics. They're learning about their product online through the community, be it TikTok, be it through forums, whatever it, be it through influencers that they trust, editors actually globally as well. Suddenly, we came in as a new brand, as a baby brand, but actually the #1 health and beauty brand across the globe. So you're establishing a huge beast in a new market, a market whereby skincare is a small part of the market, and actually you were very lucky because the awareness was big. So what we had, the factors that really influenced us is basics. How do we make the online experience very easy? Find what you need to find. How do you navigate around the website? How do you purchase the product? How do you know what's inside the product? Where we struggled a little bit was things like makeup, because we brought exclusive makeup brands to the region. People didn't know, what is the texture like of this product? What does it feel like? How is the payoff? We bring a lot of Asian brands, and people were like, oh, the pigments are not going to be strong, but they are. But it's hard to experience that. The other factor that really influenced us as well, and it was kind of the online that influenced the offline a little bit, was men. 50% of my online sales currently comes from men.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. And of that, 50% of the total turnover comes from skincare. So actually, it changed. Was it consumer habits that were changing? And actually, if you go into a store, we have a very strong men's offer. So actually, we're still analyzing whether is it men who are purchasing this product, is it men's accounts that women were using? We're not completely sure. But what we do know is those who are shopping online and in our stores are 5 times more important, or their turnovers, their attrition, their frequency, or their retention is 5 times more important to us as a brand. So it's phenomenal. These factors then, in terms of bringing the business to launch, the other external factor was the fact that you can't have a makeup artist in the store, you couldn't have testers, you couldn't have product for people to try, and you were bringing exclusive brands to the region. So suddenly you're introducing the #1 skincare brand in Japan, but no one can really test it. So you have to kind of say you can check online, or actually you can take a bit of the sample, or I'll decant it and you can test it at home. So I think it was a lot of factors. I think it made us very, very strong as a launch business, because actually we had these plans pre-COVID that everything's going to be huge. We launched the e-commerce and the first flagship store in Dubai Mall on exactly the same day.
Wow.
But we used a lot of the learnings that we'd had during COVID and actually of the market to kind of shape us in terms of the factors.
That's great. What about you, Nick? You've talked about your internal team already.
Yep. I think I'm not going to pretend that I'm a beauty expert. I think you see that as well. We have that.
The skin is stunning, don't
we have the expertise sitting on my left-hand side. But I'm a big fan of looking at how our business was set up before. And I joined Faces in 2019. That's where we also met, actually. And the online part was not built for scale. Yeah. So there's a lot of businesses out there. Even when I talk to startups, they want growth, hyper growth. They want to go 10x. And then if you ask them, imagine if tomorrow you sell 10 times more than you are selling today, would you be able to handle all of that? In terms of supply chain is already one thing, but in terms of staff, in terms of your data analytics, are you set up in a way that you can accommodate for that growth? So as soon as I started at faces.com, the first thing that I looked at was how exponential is this organization? And it was not exponential at all. So the most crucial thing for us to be able to cope with COVID was the preparation that we did in terms of exponentiality to make sure that we are ready for that scale. And it's working. We already worked remotely. So the first week I started, I said, It doesn't make sense. You guys are beauty experts. If you have a rash, if you tried something and you had a massive blowout or whatever, stay at home, take care of your skin, test, experiment with the products because that's what you want. And if you can work from home 3 days a week, and you need to come to the office on Sunday and on Thursday. That's mandatory for our team chemistry. But the other 3 days, you come in or you stay at home, I don't care. So that forced us to rethink all the processes already in advance. Luckily, because COVID hit, and then we were 5 days out of 5 at home, so we didn't really needed to change the processes that we had. And so we had the platforms, we built the processes, and then the third thing was people, obviously.
Yeah.
So really make sure that people you rally them for the vision that you have. It's very clear that everyone understands what you want, what the objective is, and you keep on repeating people why you're doing certain things. Why are we uploading this banner? Why are we saying this specific word instead of that? Keep on repeating the why, the why, the why, so you shift people's mindset in that same direction, and then you can conquer the world from your home or from the office.
Yeah, so we go back to authenticity. This is what we need. We need people. We need real connections. This is what makes us, well, you, successful. So now it's been a while that we've reopened shops. We go back to malls. We just interact with each other in person. So how that affected the direction you were taking with both your offline and online retail?
For us, let's say, we're part of a very big group, right? We are known as a leading luxury retailer in the region, and we're super strong and very focused on offline retail. So as soon as the stores open again, it was extravaganza. We loved it. There was so much joy in the group that everyone all of a sudden forgot what made us survive during COVID. So this is the reality. Yeah? We're not an offline retailer, but we're a traditional company. Stores go open again, which is the majority of our sales. So everyone fled again to that store, while the e-commerce teams were like, sorry guys, we're still here as well. And you were crying for everything a couple of weeks and months ago, and now you're letting us stand here alone. So we had to go through that cycle again of going back to everyone in the group and say, hey, if this happens again, we're going to be screwed again. So now we need to take the time. Now the sun is out again. Now is the time to change the roof. So if it rains again, we're not wet in the house. And that was for us very, very important, that we went, let's say, all online, again to all offline. And now we have built a capacity, or we're still building up our capacity, stronger and stronger and stronger, the muscle, as we call it, for e-com, to make sure that we have that proper omni-channel experience for the customer.
Yeah. For you, Ria, we've discussed that obviously the start of COVID kind of, you had to scale back the opening of all your shops. Yes. But now you've opened recently actually in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
So you've opened quite a lot of offline retail. So how did that work into your strategy?
So it's essentially, the customer's journey is very hybrid. So they shop online. We actually launched the brand last year also on a third-party delivery app. So actually you get your brand within 40 minutes if you want.
Wow.
So we ended up getting the brand very close to the consumer, which actually shaped where do we open. Interestingly, we had a significant number of consumers ordering from Abu Dhabi, and actually that was our second launch. So we're due to open in Abu Dhabi next week. We have a store opening in Saudi Arabia as well next week. So we're on quite a rapid expansion plan. But one thing I wanted to comment about the moving from online to offline, what we've noticed is, from online over to offline, is actually that same customer demands a slightly different experience. So actually they're researching online, they're looking at products online, they're reading information, journals, blogs, whatever it might be. But when they're coming to a store, they want a really fun experience. They're coming for an experience. They're coming with their friends. They're coming to enjoy themselves. And actually, you need to make your stores really enjoyable, especially my demographic's very young. And they need to enjoy being in the store. They need to feel comfortable from having gone from a self-selection model online whereby they have to pick everything themselves to having experts in the store inspiring them, having the best makeup artists you can have, having the best skincare experts you can have. so that actually it becomes a community, an enjoyable experience. And actually, I don't think that will ever go away. And even if I quote our group global CEO, she always says, retail's not dead, it's growing. You've just got to get better. You've got to offer better. You've got to do better. And I think that's what we strive to do. So once everyone's back in store, now events have started. We actually celebrate our first birthday next week. You'll notice a month-long program of events happening in the store, and actually a lot of them being live streamed online as well. So you can meet a dermatologist in the store, you can pop in with your friends, have a consultation, but you can actually also speak to them online or speak to them over social, and actually correspond with them that way as well. So for us, it's brick and mortar is still exceptionally important because it's creating that tactile touch, that relationship between these expertise. And again, I'll touch back, when it's skincare, when it's fragrance, you spray it, you smell it, you know, I love this scent. When it's makeup, you put it on straight away, you see it. With skincare, you have to trust that someone's telling you something that actually in about 2 weeks' time, of me using this regime correctly, I will notice a difference. And I think that cannot really be replaced. I think everything has to live in its space.
Yes, of course. So we're all happy to see each other. So obviously offline is still, I mean, this is human connection. We cannot do without.
Yeah.
Of course.
For sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now the adoption, obviously, of online and e-commerce has reached new heights. So now you have both offline, online, been around for, over a year now, reopening. How do the performances of both channels compare? That's a big question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very hard to say numbers, but let's say that the share of online versus offline doubled, and currently we see that the performance offline is back at the level, if not even better than pre-COVID. So obviously, we're very happy with how everything is going. We see how do I call it? There's a very strong appetite again for people to embrace beauty again. And what I see and what I also hear and really believe in is that beauty in the region, I think, has shifted from cosmetic to well-being, wellness, taking care of yourself. So the trend that we saw already in Europe and in the US, it's because of COVID, people sat at home, and again, also because of the activities of all the players in the market, to educate everyone. We are seeing that shift as well, where people are getting educated, where people are taking care of themselves, rather than just spraying perfume a lot and putting on makeup. And I think that for the real beauty players in the market, and care players, skin care, hair care players, that's something to embrace and to celebrate, for sure. So that's for the performance, and I think what Ria just said about omni-channel is very strong, because in a traditional group we used to report everything in, this is the percentage of online sales, this is the percentage of offline, and compare everything, and is it okay, and how do we grow each channel separately from each other. And what we're looking at right now is a different attribution model, where we also quantify the ROPO, research online, purchase offline, and vice versa as well. Because we also see the showrooming effect, people coming into the store, talking to the beauty advisors, getting all the information needed, go back home, and then put out a massive order online, because she believes in what the advisors told her, or played around with the beauty tools that we have in store, smelled the perfumes that we sell in our stores. So we are also quantifying that as well. So that would also be a very important takeaway, and a plea to brands that think. Sorry again. That think that. Direct to consumer is the only way, and I used to be like that 10 years ago as well. As a consultant, I told brands, forget about forget stores are dead, forget about multi-brand retail, go direct to the consumer, open your website, la 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 la. But today we see the strength of stores as well, again, because of the omni-channel effect. And if you don't have an offline place, you miss an important touch point if you're not online as well. So those are literally intertwined with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they also build trust.
Yep.
Because actually it's been very quick to open. There's been a lot of online businesses. And when you touched on sustainability and making good choices, I think that's another very important factor. And that's something that where I think we've really changed. The habits have changed. And actually the online consumer is again, if you go onto watsons.ae, you'll see a section about sustainable choices. Now, not only do you have that section, we explain what does that mean. Because actually, when we talk about buzzwords like clean, natural, sustainable choices, I think it's very loose. And I think what we've done is we've actually tried to make a very clear charter and say, look, if we say the brand is clean, it doesn't contain this. If we say a brand is sustainable, it is sustainable because of this. We actually make all our brands to sign an agreement with us to say, if you're sitting in this space, you have to confirm that you're complying by these. And I think, so that has been something whereby the whole industry has evolved. And I think here, it's really trickling down. I'm very excited about us being able to pave the way for making good choices, looking at whether we refill things. You buy your hand wash, can you buy a refill? For example, do you need to go and buy another plastic piece of something when you can just buy a refill, or you can buy a glass container, whatever it might be. So I think the shift has been very, very apparent. I think also it's changing the course of beauty in the sense of you used to go to these big beauty stores, you'd go to these big department stores. I think now, just by habit, we like to go to our neighborhood store. We like to go to the mall nearest to us. So I think even as a strategy, you should, and I remember we did this at Faces as well, we bring beauty to the neighborhood. Bring beauty closer to their consumer. They can buy it online. They can come and have an experience in a store. They can go to the flagships if they want to really be wowed and play with some AI that you've got there, or come in for these big events where they're having lovely treats. And I think it's just making sure that the touch points of beauty are qualitative across the board. And I think it's evolving and educating. Actually, the market is already very educated. It's giving everyone access. And I think that's what the evolution is well, I think that's what's happening now.
Yeah, great. So actually what was interesting what you said, Nick, but I think it's the same. You have a lot more client retention, because it used to be that people would go in stores, try the products, and go home and order it online, but not from you, from somebody else. But now you have this retention where they come, they get this education, they get the beauty advisor, the experience, then come home, order it online, but still from you. So I think it has a really good impact on customer retention as well. You agree?
We need to. It's a constant fight out there. It is like that. And indeed, I think there's a lot out there, a lot of education of the market, and you need to stay on top of your game to retain the customer. And I think it's an obligation as a big brand or as a big as a retailer to do that. Otherwise, you lose the loyalty is dead. That's something. Retail is not dead, but loyalty is. So as soon as you slow down, someone else will go faster anyway, and they will get the customer in. So there is no. It's not even a question. You need to go very hard and very.
Yeah.
You need to bring constant value to the customer, which is great, because I think that when I moved here 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. Still, it was very much. Okay, we open a store in a great location and the customers will come. We have good brands that are not really accessible here in the Middle East. People will buy and they will most probably come back to us as well. Today, the playing field leveled, even cross-border. So if you're not on top of your game, if you don't innovate enough, you're dead.
And I think the customer needs a reason. What is the reason that they buy from you? So for example, at Watsons, we have a loyalty program. So actually, when you buy, you get points. The points reward our customers for beauty. So you're a beauty customer, you get rewarded with beauty. You come in with experiences, it has a cash saving, you're building your wallet. So actually, if you want to buy something quite expensive, you can, and through your general purchases, even buying your toothpaste and your toothbrush, you're actually saving up your points, which mean that you're gonna buy something. You might want to try that one product, it's a little bit expensive, and actually, you've got these loyalty points that you've got by shopping here, means that you can go and just like splash out and go and buy that product. And I think you have to communicate, because again, having a really effective CRM program, having the loyalty program, it's fine to have everything, but what are you engaging in your content? Are they interested in what you're sending? are you relevant? And I think there's all of these factors which really play as to why someone will buy from you. They'll buy from you if they say, you know what, this retailer has integrity. I can see they're on top of their game. They've always got the new products. They're talking to me. They're educating me. And actually, they're also rewarding me. I'm getting invites to their events. I'm one of their top customers. They actually reward me with beauty boxes or whatever it might be. And actually, I get great samples. I get great offers. And I can basically get my points so I can buy something else later.
Great. Actually, from what you said, you're talking about this message to the clients. You've mentioned, Nick, obviously you have a strategy. You have a brand that you do not change. But how do you send out relevant messages? Because we've talked also about authenticity through your employees, through maybe influencers, something a little bit more raw. So how do you keep this relevant and fresh?
Yeah, very good question. I think, as I already said, so the message is always the same. What we try to convey, as I said, from the region for the region, having the top brands globally accessible locally, and omni-channel, obviously. And when I started, it was very much some sort of a cookie cutter approach where we said, okay, we have this campaign, and we have the key visual in store. Let's copy paste it, put it on Instagram. Let's put it on Facebook. Put some advertising against it. Use the slogan, maybe in some print campaign or whatever. Then send a box to an influencer with the same visual, maybe the same color, and that's about it. And today, what we really try to do is look at each channel separately and translate everything natively. Because everything has a different nuance. Every channel has its own nuance and its own language.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the evolution that we made with Face, or that Faces has made the last 2 years, it's extremely remarkable. Going from a very cookie cutter approach in terms of messaging to clearly translating everything for each channel, whether it's influencer marketing, whether it's even on different channels, Snapchat, Instagram, everything is cut in such a way that it is native to the channel. And that's something that we can be very proud of to see.
And I would add to what you're saying as well. And I think on digital, you can just be so much faster.
Yep.
You can do A/B testing. If something's generally, you can work the same campaign across both. But actually, you can see if I'm not resonating, I can make a change really quickly. I can measure it really quickly, and I can reach my customer within a matter of hours.
Yeah.
So I think it's phenomenal.
It gives me a flashback. It's funny that you say that because it gives me a flashback to our Black Friday campaign. I think everyone knows how important Black Friday or Pink Friday or White Friday or Yellow Friday is. The last Friday of November, obviously. And there you don't really have that much opportunity to A/B test. You have to launch, and it needs to be quite well. You do optimizations throughout the day, but you only have around 24 hours of that day to really make it happen. And if you lose an hour, you're pretty much screwed. So what we've done is we did a lot of usability testing beforehand with panels. First, we used maybe a tool that I would recommend to everyone. It's a startup in the US. It's Usability Hub, where we just source international panelists, and we show different visuals to them to A/B test already. And they only have 3 seconds to click which one is most enticing. So we did 58 rounds of that to find the key visual that we wanted to communicate. And then did all sorts of variations on top of that, the first hours of Black Friday, to go and find the winner. And it's influenced, that's the fun part, it influenced the offline messaging. Because we knew through those 58 variations which one was most appealing to a super wide audience, international, national, and then we started talking to the customers locally to prepare our campaigns. So it's funny that you say that. It gave me a flashback of all the testing that we did for Black Friday.
So true to your brand, but obviously a lot more adaptability that is possible now that we have all these digital tools. Now, Ria, you mentioned that you've got that on your website. You have 50% of the purchase that is from men, so that's quite surprising numbers. Is there any other kind of demographic trends that you both have noticed in online purchases versus physical retail?
No, so actually we've seen a similar trend of the fact of skincare being predominant both in store and online. I think one of the things we've noticed is actually we're capturing customers online from a very, very young age. We're having our demographic starts at around 13. And actually, it makes sense because the role is that we want to be the ones that educate. We want to be the ones that teach people of how to build a regime, how to build an effective skincare regime, and find product that suits them. So actually, they're coming online, they're doing their research, and then you'll see them come into store sometime as well. But actually, you see them engaging a lot online. And I think, as I said, we've created, so when you go to store, you see global picks, whereby you can see brands from all around the world. But actually, the category that resonates most with us is Korean beauty. So when you go online, you see K-beauty. So you can go direct to that. So actually, we've noticed a few different trends. But I think, to be very, very honest, we've got quite far to go. I think we still have a lot to go. I would love to be in the position whereby we could do that testing, whereby we're reacting much, much faster, or pre-campaign, but we're still very much a baby brand, finding our way, but it's very exciting.
What about you, Nick? How did that translate?
Yeah, I think what's fun to see is that the demographic barrier, or the demographic that we saw online and offline is becoming more fluent, and the average age of our store visitor is going down. So we get a younger demographic in our store, and we get an older demographic online. Even in our app, we see a very big portion of people you wouldn't expect downloading and actively using the Faces app. So it's funny to see that is becoming super fluid, where you see an older demographic going online and a younger demographic coming to the store as well. I think, to Ria's point a couple of questions ago, I think that's because we are investing in a lot of experiences in the store, to making sure that we give them a reason to visit, not only opening a door and having brands there, but also indeed having the right advice, the right tools, events for people to really come and enjoy the store. And I think also what we see is that we're before Faces, especially in the UAE, we were very much expat brands, obviously because UAE and Dubai is an expat city. But what we're seeing is that because of our local approach, we are finding way again to the local consumer as well. And that's something that we are extremely proud of, because that's really what we want to be. We were Wuzhu before, we rebranded to Faces, but the name becoming an English name does not mean that we are not an Arabic first brand from the region. And we're very, very proud to see that we're reconnecting with the local audience.
Great. So it creates actually a virtuous cycle where you have this education, the experience, and people coming online, offline, and just keeping going through that, as long as you provide this amazing experience and products that people are looking for. Now I have a last question for you. What kind of key trends do you see emerging? Well, you've talked about how sustainability, but you're also dealing with K-beauty, which is very trendy. How do you see the beauty industry evolving? We've talked about the increase in skincare as well. Any other insights on those trends?
I won't go into clean, because that's indeed a given. I think what we see is local. Local is massive, so we see that you have your Chanel's, Dior's, that's one thing, but also there also are local entrepreneurs in the UAE, Saudi, Kuwait, Jordan, that are doing phenomenal things. And we try to be a launch pad as CHALHOUB Group and also as Faces, to give them the local entrepreneurs a podium. And we really see that there is a lot of appetite from the customer to experiment and to support local entrepreneurship. Niche. So obviously, as I already said, you have your big brands, but also them are starting capsule collections or private collections. So that's what that's a clear trend, what we see. And then third is anything that is focused inwards. By that I mean home. So any home fragrances, candles, everything that sets the ambiance at home. But also your own home, your body. So body care, hair care, skin care is becoming massively important, and is if I were a betting man, something that I would bet on.
And it's becoming quite interesting. So one of the biggest things that we've noticed in terms of trend is actually, I say ingredient, but when I say ingredient, I don't just mean like your coconut or your thing. People are now looking at what acids combine with what ingredients work with what doesn't agree. So it's almost the science of it that's really come at the forefront. And I think here having a really strong breadth of offer, a depth of offer, and teaching people that, do you know, if you're using your vitamin C, maybe don't use your retinol, using things at different time, building the regime. And basically, I would say that the consumer is very informed and very intelligent.
Yes.
And now they have these brands at their doorstep, they have them accessible to them. And as I said, I referred back earlier, people are learning what goes with what. And I think it's going to really shape a different type of future because actually people are building their own, they're almost customizing their own skincare through this.
Great. So we've talked about scalability, adaptability, supply chain, authenticity, the offer also, and the experience in store. So I think those seem to be the building blocks of building an omni-channel success.
Very much so.
So this is all the questions I have for you today, but if there are any questions in the audience, please raise your hand and we'll have our lovely panelists answer that for you.
Good questions?
All right, well, if there's no question, then that's it for
much.
us. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. And, oh, we have a question after all. All right, can we bring a mic to the lovely lady?
I thought we were going to get away.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, thank you for the information. I have one question for you, ma'am. Since you are O+O, you have little space in stores, right? But online, it's a huge space and where you can list all the products from all the brands. So do you, do you utilize that online space or you list the products which only are the best sellers from the brands? That's my question.
No, it's a very, very good question because online should be almost like an endless aisle. You should have everything. And I think this is something where we, as Watsons, we're doing a great job. We have the full assortment available online, but actually this is our future. So the future is to grow that, to have categories that you would know from a Watsons that we may not carry here because of the type of real estate that we have. But actually, this is synergistic to our name, and we should carry these. We have the authority on these categories. So it's very much the future plan that the online assortment should be much larger. And again, looking at different formats as well. So for example, if you go online, if you go into the store, you buy single use, you buy the cottons, but actually online you'll notice we have bundle deals because again, that's how that consumer likes to shop. So it's very much the plan to actually have a much more extensive catalog online than we have in stores. And actually looking at integrating that endless aisle into a store. So for example, if you're in a store and you're like, I can't find it, there are iPads available actually across both of our doors, whereby you can actually just find it online and get it delivered to you. So very, very important, and the online offer should always be larger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any further question? I think the gentleman here has a question.
And maybe, sorry, if I can add, because before we came to the States, I was talking about that we're going to do a lot of things. Without going into a scoop, maybe, but because I can't reveal any confidential.
Please tell us.
But if you look at, so I can just hint at something. So there's a great there's Amazon Books, which is actually the offline concept of Amazon, and how they merchandise their store is amazing offline, but they're using the online mechanics. So you see their shelves with the 4-star. Plus ratings only. These are the top 10 books in the area, and we're actually looking at new store concepts which are taking the online concept offline as well. So I cannot reveal anything, but it's something very exciting.
But it's something coming soon.
Yeah,
very exciting.
It's a very important comment actually, as I saw in the Amazon, and they even have, if you like this, you may like to try these, and I think that's a perfect idea.
Absolutely, and for example, you see the reviews in the shelves as well, where the stars are. So each product has their tag and then price. But at Amazon Books, you also have the stars, how many reviews. There's a QR code. You scan it, you see the reviews. So it might be that something like this is coming soon to the region as well.
Exciting news. We love to hear it. Now, please, for your question.
Hi. So as we started e-commerce last year when the COVID came in, and we had a good response on the e-commerce. As the mall opened again, and the footfall on e-commerce has become very low. So you follow a different price strategy for both the platform, or follow same price strategy offline and online?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question well because of the music.
A pricing strategy for offline and online after COVID. You follow same pricing strategy, like you provide discounts and everything on offline as well as online, or you have a different strategies?
So we are an omni-channel retailer, so the prices are the same every year. So if you go in the store and you watch online, the price will be 100% the same always. The thing is, in terms of acquisition, we have different promotions, obviously, because there's like an entry offer when you shop for the first time at faces.com, where you have a discount. We also have this offline. So if you go to the store and you say, hey, I see online you're giving a 10% or a 15% or whatever, and I don't see this everywhere, the staff is trained today to say, yeah, offline we cannot show you a pop-up. That would be too rude. But since you're asking, we will give you the same, because we're an omni-channel experience. So before, and that maybe also answers the question that we had before, that changed as well. Before in the store, nothing of an online promotion was translated into the store. And today, if you show something, the staff is trained in such a way that they know that the customer is the one that is also looking at the website. And if they're not matching what we show online, they will not buy offline. So, and also everyone is aware of what we do. So before there was much more of a silo. Online we do some stuff. Ria will absolutely know that I was a bit of a pirate like that. But today there's clear communication. Everyone is aware of what is going on. And if you ask in a store, everything is matched for sure. So it's even better now.
There is synergy. There's 100%, and we do the same. So we keep the synergy. The only differentiation that we do is things like previews to sales. Preview, because again, you have the ability to reach your consumer before. So why not do that? That's their privilege as well. Second one is launches. Exclusive launches sometimes hit online before they hit the stores as well. Because again, it's what's happening across the industry. And rarely we will have an online-only promotion, whereby, again, it is to help conversion or for a specific, if we're anniversarizing a specific online campaign or industry event that may not translate to a store, but actually does translate online. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
Any
very
further
much.
question? All right, so I think that's it for us.
Thank you
Nick,
very
Ria,
much.
thank you very much for coming this afternoon. It was a very interesting conversation. And for anyone who would like to see it again, it will be available on demand on the Beautyworld app and all our social media.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
All
and
right.
good
Thank you very
afternoon.
much. Take care. Thank you.